Hey guys, Adam from iClimate. We're back in central London and this is a kind of a unique project. Right, final update for this lovely air conditioning project in this house. We put a design forward for the Georgian kitchen to be. It's the day before New Year's Eve. Let's give you some background information on what we're doing here. It is an air conditioning installation. You can see the condensers right here, but we're doing a lot of associated works to incorporate air conditioning into this large London house. The plan is these two condensers are going to run pipework into the basement level. From the basement level, we're going to go up and we're going to serve two living spaces, one on the front and one on the back of the house. This is the client's existing shed or boiler house. Inside here is the commercial boiler system feeding this property. Our plumber's he's going to decommission the boiler system and drain the water pipework within the house. While we're also serving living spaces, heating a house of this size correctly using heat pump air conditioning has to be sized correctly. It's a very different type of heat to the radiant heat generated by the boilers. It's a very dry heat and it doesn't bring up the latent heat of the room. So when we're sizing air conditioning for heating, you do not use the rule of thumb that you use for cooling. We allow for a considerable increase in capacity to make up for the fact that it is a convection type of heat. As you know, heat will dissipate into less concentrated areas very quickly. And the last thing we want to do is to air condition the rooms and spaces for the client while leaving the amazing large central staircase not air conditioned at all. So our plan is to remove the boiler off site today and strip it and decommission it, drain the water system like I said, remove the flue for the boiler, get all the rubbish taken off site that we've generated so far, so that next week our building team can start removing and breaking the wall down.
Are these live electric or?
I don't know. I haven't checked it.
So what's going to happen here? That will go.
Boiler's going. Gas supply is getting capped off and the pipework's getting drained. And then we're installing aircon in the house. He's already got localized tanks immersion doing the domestic hot water.
Okay.
Somewhere in the house. I think I've seen it on the second floor. And
what all this?
I have guys. They're waiting. They'll help you. Just tell them what we need,
Okay.
what they need.
If they clear here,
Yep.
yeah, what I'm going to do, I'll tell you. Shut this valve, shut that valve,
Yep.
okay?
What's that flow and return from the boiler?
Yeah. And they should have some electrician to disconnect this.
We can do that, but just pull it. I can do that for you.
Yeah. Okay. So two-way. Either shut these two valves.
Yeah.
Just drain here, boiler.
Yeah.
Leave the rest. Or if you find the header tank, yeah, shut the header tank. Yeah. In the system.
Can I show you the tank and you tell me if it's the header tank because I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then how to shut off.
Let me do this first. Yeah.
Tell me. We're going to run our pipework here, but I want to take you up to the ground floor. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the spaces inside, where we're going to air condition and then make our way to the roof. Some of the spaces we won't be able to film today because the client's living in a certain part of the house, so we'll leave that out for the second visit, like next week when we've got the units in place. Yeah. So as you can see, we're on the ground floor in the entrance. Lots of character in this property. We're removing the radiators, as I said, once it's drained. And where I mentioned we'll be providing some heating to the staircase landing area. As you'll see, we've got the equipment lying around here. We've got ducted fan coil units. We've got some wall units here as well. Plenums from Decommissioning and the wireless receiver kits for Decommissioning, because when we integrate ducted units, we like to keep disruption down to a minimal, and we like to use a wireless remote receiver that the client can use. So ground floor, this is the front room in through here. And we're serving two ducted fan coil units under the window sections. Okay. We've got a lot of moving around to do for next week for the client, but our plan is to remove the existing small radiators, which we can't see right now, underneath the window sections and replace them with two ducted Decommissioning fan coil units. with the radiator covers and grills to provide heating to this room. We're trying something different on this job. At iClimate, because we've been installing air conditioning into houses for the last 15 years, we normally like to compress our services when we're doing chases and stuff like that. And I know lots of aircon guys wrap electrical tape around their services, but this time we're using a pre-rolled and pre-insulated piping system just for ease of installation. Apparently it's a lot tougher than the lagging, so it saves ripping and it saves a lot of time lagging stuff because there's a lot of piping going into this house. Drew me up this amazing staircase. This house is designed basically like a central skylight, and the rooms are scattered around the central skylight. Basically like a riad, or like you would see in Morocco, or basically a house in Cordoba. So we've got a very large ducted system going to be serving this side of the staircase. And through here, the client's in here, so we won't do any filming, but through here we've got a very large ducted unit serving this library here. And then when we install the grill for that and do the works for that, we'll catch that on camera. So follow me up. Running the centre of the house. Second floor, radiators with all this surface mounted pipework. This pipework runs throughout the property in all the corners. Normally it'd be buried in the floors, but because it was a commercial at some point. Inside here is one of the fuse boards, is the second fuse board that we're changing, and this is going to serve the units that are going to sit around the roof perimeter of the skylight. Jen, pop your head up there, please, just tell me. It's header tanks, isn't it? Oh no, you're too small.
No, this is cold supply. 3 of them. You know the small one?
Yeah, the square one.
That's the header tank.
That's-
These are cold supply.
That's decommissioned.
Those decommissioned.
The one on the end.
Then there is no water in the system. Just maybe.
So if it's not vented, if it doesn't have a header tank, then what does that mean? It means it's not pressurized.
This system wouldn't be pressurized anyway. And you know that small tank?
Yeah.
Inside they put in the big tank.
Yeah.
That's the header tank.
Right guys, you're joining us in the center of the house. This is directly above the central staircase that we walked up. And this is the skylight detail. So we're planning to put 5 AC units here on the slanted sections of the roof. The client has already gone and put a tracking system in here to support the condensers that need to be mounted on angles that are not basically small flat sections of wall. So our building team here are putting a frame across here of ply so that we can safely work around the skylight and obviously take the condensers up through here and site them in their position safely, because the clients had the skylight done recently. So that's that. We've got 5 condensers going here. We're serving a combination of bedrooms, kitchen, living space, and we're using some ducted fan coil units and 2 wall units up here. We've already got the pipework penetrations through the roof. LED details already been prepared and ready. So our services will be running concealed, making their way down through the loft sections, floor sections, and riser sections. So that's refrigeration pipework, power supplies, drainage. And this is how we've diversified the outdoor AC unit location. So they're out of sight, minimal noise disruption, and obviously accessible for servicing. So let's go back inside. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay for now. We've got a multitude of works taking place in the house to integrate the air conditioning. So we've got mechanical on site now with Jem. You can see we had a little chat about draining away the central heating system. And some people might be asking, oh, how's the domestic hot water handled? That's already been sorted by the client. They've already got they've got some type of clarifiers fed by immersion heaters. So that's a separate system. So everything we're doing is just removing the central heating and the boiler. Right, final update for this lovely air conditioning project in this house. It's the day before New Year's Eve. And from the last time on the video you saw, a lot of work has taken place. Our tools are by the door, which is only a good sign. And that means that we are mostly complete with the air conditioning stuff. Just some small snags left and everything is under test. So what's happened since you guys saw us last? The boiler's been totally removed on site, which I think you might have seen. We've cleared the house of a lot of rubbish. Now the clients moved in, they want to start utilizing the house, and obviously making sure it was warm for the winter was the first major step the client took, hence the air conditioning. We've also removed a lot of the existing radiators, the cast iron radiators that were jotted about the property. You saw them be removed off site as well. We've done a lot of rubbish clearance. All the AC units are in their places and installed and under test. All the services are done. Everything has been pressure tested and operational, and we've left it operational for the last 2 weeks, just while the client's not here over the New Year period, so we can put everything under some proper strenuous testing with the really cold ambient temperatures outside that we experience over the New Year period. Like with many of our projects, we haven't just confined ourselves to the air conditioning side of this job. Right, we've taken on lots of extra bits and pieces, property services, rubbish clearance, decommissioning the existing plant, getting it off site. We also had some structural surveys done for one of the walls that we went through, just to make sure that the way we installing the grills into the property doesn't affect the structural side of the property. And we've also upgraded the electrical power supplies. Obviously, all our AC units need a power supply from a dedicated fuse board, and we've changed 2 fuse boards so far. One upstairs single phase, one downstairs large 3-phase. Yes, there's 3-phase coming into this property, but it's not been utilized. So we need to speak to the grid to make sure that they replace one of the ceramic fuses for one of the phases, but I'll show you that downstairs when we go there. Everything is in place. Let's do a quick walk around, show you the fan coil units in their place. Everything's lovely in heating, as you can feel, well, you can't tell, but the temperature right in here is probably like 30 degrees C, which we've left on the test. So if you follow me, this is the entrance on the ground floor, and this was the existing location for the cast iron radiator. Obviously that has been removed and replaced with this very large high capacity ducted air conditioning unit. Yes, you can hear the noise from these units. They're ducted units. They're designed to be enclosed in an enclosure, and that's the only thing left here. We are making up some decorative Victorian mesh metal enclosures that are fully ventilated in some luxury stained brass finishes to go over all the aircon units. The way this house is designed, it's such a large property. It was previously, at one point in its history, it was converted into 3 residential apartments, and they went through a commercial premises, and then my client purchased the property and converted it into a residential dwelling. So there's lots of different types of cables and services that are running in parts of this house. Obviously, with the property being a Georgian property, Georgian era house, we had to ensure that the air conditioning installation was done correctly without compromising any of the heritage, any of the aesthetic, and obviously the structure, like I mentioned earlier. We decided to install very large high capacity air conditioners where the radiators were. There's only 2 radiator points existing in this property. One is the ground floor that we're here, and one is the second floor landing as well. So we installed a 6.3 kilowatt, and obviously with the hot air rising, this has a very large central staircase here with a central skylight that you'll see. So the theory principle was that the warm air is produced at low level and naturally will rise to the top with the assistance of the second floor unit, ensuring that the landings and the hallways are served as well, and not just the individual rooms. So join me in the rear sitting room, well, the drawing room. You can see we have underneath the window alcoves, there were 2 small cast radiators, and we've replaced them with the new ducted air conditioning units serving here. These units are 2.5 kilowatts each. We put 2 units in purely because when it comes to heating large properties like this with a very large volume, so we wanted to ensure that comfort levels could be maintained without the systems that we're installing running at very high diversity. The room we are in right now is directly beneath the front room where the 2 small ducted units are that we're going to show you. We run the pipework down towards here into the ceiling, so we drilled straight down using the existing holes that were there for the radiator pipes, which we removed. As I said, the property is a Georgian era property and it's listed, so all the pipes have been removed within the property, not just the radiators. And there was a reason behind this, so that we could utilize the existing holes that were made in the subfloor and the floors and the walls. So we didn't actually create any disturbance in this period property, and it's typically the way to approach it. So central heating pipes removed, aircon pipes dropped down at the exact locations, and then within the basement, where there's no real structural obstacles, the client agreed that we could run stuff service mounted to outside. Right guys, so the room that I'm going to show you now is where basically all the incoming power comes into the house. It's a three-phase supply, so there are 4 cores coming into here. We're only utilizing single-phase power for the condensing units because we tried to localize the units where we could, so we didn't have to run 3-phase. And the 3rd phase isn't actually active. One of the ceramic fuses existing that runs into this main incoming box here. As you can tell, it's a very old Siemens box, and with the history of the property being a commercial and multiple apartments, and then you can see there's a couple of meters here and another meter upstairs. So we got our teeth into the wiring and we sorted out the fact that 3-phase is not coming into the property and feeding anything, and the way we stratified it was we utilized L1, one of the phases, to feed this board, essentially this 3-phase board. The client at some point had a new armored supply running upstairs to feed a new fuse board, but we replaced that fuse board during our works anyway, next to the mountain of rubbish post-installation, which are getting removed tomorrow. But now you guys can see 3 of the units that are serving the ground floor and the landing are fully installed and operational. There's a pool of water sitting here. There's a few alterations you need to make, obviously, with a property this size when you integrate air conditioning to it. So on heating mode, when you use your aircon on heating, the outside units generate water because they have to go through a defrost cycle. The bit that would have been inside, the cold, is now outside. It's reversed, right? So you'll see that there's some water sitting here. This is not finished. We're going to finish the ground off for the client. We're in talks with them right now to probably use a bit of self-leveling here, put a bit of a drop on it, try and match some of the red tiles that he has here, and then we can probably either allow for the water to push itself through the soakaway, which is on that further corner, or we may just connect all the drains up when that's done and run it to the soakaway once all this rubbish is collected and cleared. So this is the front room. When you walk into the house, front of house, street level here, 2 units underneath the windows as where the existing radiators were. So radiators are out, 2 units are in here. Again, we've gone with 2.5 kilowatt. 1 unit would have done the room. 1 unit would be competent enough for doing the room, but because of the other room associated with it and the fact that the clients, they are going to be changing the use of the house, and more than likely a lot of the doors are open, so we don't want heat to be escaping from any part of the property with it being a period property. We want to make sure that when heat is injected into the property, it's like I mentioned, done at the existing points where the radiators were, so we're not compromising anything. Putting cages around ducted units or putting enclosures around them doesn't make the ducted unit any less efficient. As long as the airflow paths are not restricted by more than 50%, then the unit will function efficiently and heat the space up. And when it comes to old period properties that are basically brick construction entirely with no cavity in some cases, like this on an external wall where you would lose heat through the window, we believe that existing cast radiators you would have lost more heat through the window because they're constantly radiating. With air conditioning, you can hear it's a fan, it's convective, and it forces the air up to ceiling level, and then the air will gradually build up hot air across and then drop down. So the loss through the window will actually be slightly less than if you had radiators. So follow me up the lovely stairs. You would think this was a museum, right? With all the artwork that our client has collected over the years. In actual fact, a gallery. So guys, if you want to follow us into this room, right, so this room here on the first floor, you can see we've chased out the existing brick, put some penetrations through here underneath without disturbing the coving for the airflow coming into this room. This room is going to be opened up with the stud wall removed, and this is going to be the client's new kitchen dining area. We've also given the client a design for what we think would be a lovely Georgian era style kitchen integrated into here. With our background being involved in bespoke cigar rooms, designing and building them, our designing team did a lot of research behind the scenes at the office with Georgian style kitchens, areas. We just showed you the first room on the first floor, the new proposed kitchen to be being served through the ducted unit in the pantry. Let's go on the opposite side of the staircase into here. So this is the red room. Above the cabinet here, you'll see it's a stud wall. So we're happy with cutting a very large aperture like that, 2 meters across, 15 centimeters high. And that's going to be for a single piece fixed bar linear grill. That's going to be color matched to this, but the client is painting that grill. And that AC unit sits on this side within the bulkhead. We had to make the space here larger cut into the existing ceiling, so physically the air conditioner can get up there and out, and then obviously we're going to make this good, so future service and maintenance for the air conditioner is as easy as possible. Right guys, so we are essentially in the room behind the new kitchen to be, and this is the doorway that I was referring to on the other side. Excuse the flexi ductwork and the way it's laid out. This is obviously not finished. This is post the new year. We're waiting for our custom plenums to arrive and the ductwork will be neatened up. But if you recall, we've done some exploratory works here with regards to the opening up the doorway again. We wanted to make sure that what was the existing structure, and here is the existing small wooden beam, which is essentially acting like a lintel. In actual fact, there's a wooden frame running alongside here onto the brick, and then that beam across the so-called lintel is sitting on that. So it's essentially not taking any of the weight and just been used as a structure to block up. You can tell the breeze block is there, so that has been blocked up at a much later date than the original brick. So what we're going to do now is our structural engineers coming up with a new design structurally, where we're going to remove the architrave. We're probably going to come up with some type of steel RSJ lintel to run across, sitting on some pad stones anchored into the floor with some framework. So I think there might even be small steels running across, with the steel going there and the steel running down, and that way the steel structure is taking the weight of the last layer of bricks that are sitting on the existing wood structure. But we'll let the structural engineer confirm that, but that's what I think. This is where this is going, so that we can open the doorway and eventually the kitchen can be done. And there's another 6.3 kilowatt unit here. A lot of heat is needed because it's a very large staircase. And on this floor, we have a combination of a wall unit serving 2 bedrooms, 2 en-suites, and another secondary wall unit down here. And as I mentioned, the condensers are scattered on the eaves of the roof around the skylight. This is an example of how we've run some of the services within the house. You can see the refrigeration pipework, armored cables, interconnecting and drains. We haven't chopped into the existing any of the existing beams. The client is happy for us to surface mount it, and then they're going to build a box around this. So guys, as I mentioned downstairs, we put a design forward for the client for designing and building their Georgian kitchen to be in the room that's to be converted on the first floor. And there's some of the drawings that we come up with. So we came up with a mood board. We came up with, just as you're aware, in that design stage, you must pair textures and colors together. Run this through, label everything, and basically from our research, we gave the client a couple of color variations. This is just some of the research that we found. Common features of the Georgian hardware. Can you see the face fixing that we referred to? We've got a worktop, we've got a cook's table. Here's a third option with the Smeg oven. This is the visual of the mantelpiece that we came up with on that far wall. Just some elevations showing the color. And as with the Georgian style, everything must be symmetrical. That's our center mantelpiece oven. That is a very Georgian style mantelpiece, but we revised that for a Roman style one, which is what the client wanted. So that's a slight revision. We have a fridge and freezer each side, full height. On the new design, we've reduced the oven size, incorporated the basin here, and we've made the pillars slightly denser, so we have space for niches where oils and seasoning can go, that you would use when you're cooking. So you can see we've taken DWG files, designed bespoke larder storage area, larder display, which is going to open up to be a tea station. So we try to incorporate some of the functionality that people expect from a kitchen in this day and age, while maintaining the visual aesthetics of what it would have been like in the Georgian era. Chef's table, because now we refer to the chef's table as a central island, but originally it comes from being a chef's table. We don't actively advertise that we're in construction or carry out construction work, but when it comes to clients like this that meet us through one of our projects or businesses, it's happened many times in the past where somebody has had a wine cellar from me and said, Adam, can you design our kitchen? We wanted to redo our kitchen, and can you design it for us and do it for us? And we have done that. So I think that's a wrap, guys. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, so we're all getting ready for 2025, and we should be blessing you guys on YouTube with more of key projects like this. This is our 3rd Georgian house that we have air conditioned so far, and with a possible Georgian kitchen now along the way. So we've got lots of projects lined up for next year, and keep your eye on our channel. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year.